Hey everybody, ronarray here, and since GGG revealed Path of Exile 2 Early Access, there have been a few big information updates, including partial reveal of the passive skill 3, which is absolutely huge. So in this video I wanted to showcase the most interesting revealed passives and discuss how they could be applied to some theory crafted builds. I also want to thank Dreamcore for helping me with materials for that video. Check out his channel in the description, guys. There are 3 major zones in the tree right now: dexterity, strength and intelligence related. There are also subzones formed by overlaps of those 3. I will cover revealed passives in groups, such as chaos or energy shield for example, so check out the timestamps for particular topics, and let's go! So let's start with the damage related group, because well, everybody loves to do damage. The first passive that we have here is Wild Storm. It gives us 15% more maximum lightning damage, which is pretty nice. When you are using lightning damage you have a big difference between smaller number and biggest number, so minimum and maximum lightning damage. If we will have particular items such as Perkville 2, for example, in Path of Exile 2, I think that passive can provide a significant improvement in proper DPS. Moving forward, and the next one is Unexpected Finis. It gives us 10% increase attack damage and gain accuracy rating equal to your strength. I think that's just an amazing bonus, and it would be very good for most of the attack based builds, because stacking accuracy that way can help create like strength stacker builds and can just boost your accuracy if you don't have another way to boost that through your tree. So for warriors, which are pretty much in the strength related part of the tree, I think that would be a very nice choice, especially since it costs only 4 passives here, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. Moving forward, Psychic Fragmentation is the next one. It gives us 24% chance for spell skills to fire 2 additional projectiles. I think that's absolutely amazing. 24% is not really that low, and 2 additional projectiles? Right now I think it would take only 3 points to take that, and it really looks like a very good option for 3 points. Even if 24% chance is not that high, it's still a very nice way to improve your damage, especially for the skills that currently have only 1 projectile when you're not boosting it further. The next one is Falcon Technique. It gives us 1% increased attack speed per 15 dexterity, and that's just amazing for all dexterity stacking builds. We had dexterity stacking ballistas, for example, in Path of Exile 1, and I think something similar will be possible in Path of Exile 2 as well. The idea that we already have such big bonuses in the tree is pretty exciting, because before we had most of such bonuses on the items instead, and it feels that GGG want the tree to play a bigger role in the build creation, which in my opinion is kinda nice. The next one is Falcon Dive. It's 1% increased attack speed per accuracy rating, and since dexterity will provide you accuracy, and both dexterity and accuracy are in the green part of the tree, I think you will be able to create a build that will stack both dexterity and accuracy at the same time, improving your attack speed significantly. It also takes a very small amount of points again, which is pretty nice. I'm also very interested what is that, because it looks very unusual and like a spear, so it would be very nice to see those passives later on. Moving forward, the next one is Explosive Impact. It gives increased area of effect, and burning enemies you kill have a 5% chance to explode. It's very cool to have it just in the tree and not on the cluster jewels like we did before, and I think that one would be pretty popular, even if 5% chance is not that high. Endless Blizzard here gives us +1 level of all cold skills, and I don't think it pretty much requires any kind of additional explanation, just basic damage here. It takes at least 4 points, but there's a lot of additional cold passive bonuses here, which we can see, and I think that whole cluster would be good for builds like Glacier Monk. Going forward, Elemental Equilibrium gives us hits that deal fire damage, remove fire exposure, and inflict lightning exposure, and so on for all types of damage. I think that's a pretty tricky node. It could be interesting to see how it will play, especially if you're going to play a character with two sets of elemental skills. For example, Mon can use lightning and cold, and it should work pretty good. It's the same for Witch, you can pretty much go for fire and lightning, for example. So those could be pretty useful when you just want to buff your big hit if it's a different element. Pure Power provides you 2% increased lightning damage per turn intelligence, and it's not just a way to stack your intelligence the same way how you're stacking your dexterity. It's nice but nothing too crazy. So the next one is Climate Change. It gives us 20% increased freeze build up, and gain 25% of cold damage as extra fire against frozen enemies. It sounds good, but mostly it's here for the clear. I'm not sure if it's worth like 4 points, even if it can give a very nice bonus. It reminds me of Heat Shiver in Path of Exile 1. But unfortunately, I'm not sure how Freeze is going to work in Path of Exile 2, because we need to test it before. However, if it's going to work in the same fashion like in Path of Exile 1, that passive will be pretty strong, because it will just give you 25% of additional damage in almost all cases, because Heat Shiver mostly works that way. However, if it's not the case, and we will be unable to micro-freeze enemies and get that bonus pretty consistently, it will be not that good. The next one is Catalysis. It gives us 20% increased elemental damage with attack skills and 5% of physical from hits taken as damage of a random element. That's very cool because it's going to boost both your survivability and your damage. It also gives you only like 2 points it seems from there, like 1 and 2, so it's definitely worth it, and I think it will be up in most of the builds that are doing elemental attacks. The next set of passives that I want to showcase here is pretty much chaos related and poison related ones. So first one is Staking Toxins. It can poison enemies at an additional time, 20% reduced effect of poison. And that sounds absolutely insane. I think most of the poison builds will take it because one additional poison could literally double your DPS. And even if reduced effect of poison will take like 20% away, it's still going to be a huge increase. So I think Stacking Toxins will be absolutely must-have for almost all poison related builds in there. Especially if you have enough fast attacks to pretty much reapply your poison consistently. Next one is Spaghettification. I think that's a very funny name, and the passive itself is absolutely amazing too. It gives us increased chaos damage, it gives us increased attributes, some little movement speed, and takes away a little chaos resistance. So for, as we can see, it should be like 1, 2, 3 or even 1, 2. So about 3 passives right now. You can get a set of very cool bonuses. I don't think like minus 13% of chaos resistance is big enough downside. I think for most of the chaos related builds, both poison and like chaos monk builds, it will be a very good passive, which pretty much worth it in the most cases. The next one is Low Tolerance and gives 60% increased effect of poison against enemies that are not poison, which is pretty nice. However, I'm not sure if it's worth the passives here. If it will be too far from your start, it could be good, but not that good, so you will need to go there. So the next one is Escalating Toxins. It gives 10% increased poison duration for each poison you have inflicted recently, up to a maximum of 100%. And that's very good, because that way you will be able to stack so many poison on the enemies and pretty much kill them significantly easier, especially while you're like running around, dodging, and trying to survive. I think that thing would be very good against bosses, and it sounds like at least a huge bonus for quality of life, so I would probably try to take it if it's possible. And one to the right from it is Building Toxins. It gives 25% reduced poison duration, but can poison enemies an additional time. I think those two passives are going to stack with each other very good, because Escalating Passive is going to give you significant increases poison duration, while Building Toxins is going to take some poison duration away, but will give you a chance to poison enemy like additional time, and improve your damage significantly. so I think taking them both would be a very good idea, because they will just stack perfectly with each other. And the next one is Dark Entries. It will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. However, +1 to level 4 Chaos skill gems sounds like something good, and it's probably worth it. So the next set is Minions. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of Minion Passives revealed, but let's see what we currently have. Lords of Horror here gives you minions have 12% reduced reservation, and it sounds like absolute must-have, especially since you will have 2 other passives here, and it's probably worth just passing up. Moving forward, the next one is Necromantic Talisman. All bonuses from an equipped amulet apply to your minions instead of you, and whoa, that's a very cool bonus. We had something similar in Path of Exile 1, and generally just providing stats to your minions is a good way to improve their damage. I think it would worth it in 99% of the cases, because it can boost both survivability for your minions and their damage. And the last passive for minions is one to the left. It's Right Head of Darkness. Minions have increased area of effect and chance to inflict without on hit. Here it's kinda questionable, to be honest. I'm not sure if he will have a lot of minions that can do chaos damage, but Wizard generally been a very strong bonus in Path of Exile 1. So if it's going to be the same in Path of Exile 2 and Wizard is still going to be amazingly strong, I think it could worth it at some cases. So the next set is just defense related. Most of the passives here that we've seen is pretty much just energy shield related, and we will need to discuss how they will apply to energy shield builds such as Mon. So Eternal Youth is our first option. It gives us life recharge instead of energy shield, and life recovery from flask applies to energy shield instead. We had something similar in Path of Exile 1, and you probably know it already. However, I think that version of Eternal Youth is kinda stronger, because it also have life recovery from flask applies to energy shield. So that way you can literally recover your energy shield with your life flask, which is very good. You right now will have only one life flask, but it's still a great way to boost your energy shield, both for only energy shield builds and for hybrid builds that will have both like energy shield and life together. I think it also will be a must-have pick for Monk, especially in Walker, because you can literally double your energy shield here, and with that passive, well, it's going to be significantly easier to survive. Moving forward, the next one is Enhanced Barrier. It gives +1 to all maximum elemental resistance, together with 25 increased maximum energy shield. I think that's just absolutely amazing passive for Monk. For 3 points, you're receiving the resistances and you're receiving energy shield. Since Monk can double energy shield, as I already mentioned, it's definitely worth it. Going next, we have Acrobatics. Can evade all hits, but 50% less evasion rating. That one is questionable, because as far as I understand, can evade all hits pretty much gives you a bonus to evade spells as well, and that sounds pretty strong, to be honest. However, 50% less evasion rating is a huge debuff here, because it will be significantly harder to stack it. I think for proper endgame builds, which will be very buffed and will have like mirror tier items, it will be a very nice pick. But for early game, it's kinda questionable, because I think stacking high evasion rating will be too hard. Moving forward, we have Convalescence. It gives us 50% reduced energy shield recharge rate and 40% faster start of energy shield recharge. It's kinda nice, and it's most like utility passive, so faster start, a little slower reduced rate. I think it will be easy to pretty much outplay the downside and take some passives to completely compensate for it. However, I'm not sure if just faster start worth the points, because you will need to pay at least 1, 2, 3, 4 points, or maybe even more, because we can see that part here. Moving next, we have Dampening Shields. It's 28% increased maximum energy shield and gain percent of maximum energy shield as additional stun threshold. I think it will be a very important passive, especially for builds that will pretty much play around energy shield, because otherwise you're going to get stunned like constantly if you're going to play at low life, for example. especially since low life right now is lower, so it's like 35% instead of 50, and it will be significantly easier to get stunned in such case. Considering you will need only 1 to 3 points for it, I think it's a very nice investment. Because you also will be able to take more energy shield related points here, and it's kinda all connected. Moving forward, we have Dependable Ward. It gives us 20% increased energy shield recharge and faster start of energy shield recharge. I think it will be a very nice combination with previous passive that we already discussed, such as Condolences, because it's going to compensate for reduced energy shield recharge. And right now, I think you will be able to boost your start of energy shield recharge pretty nicely. So I think there are definitely going to be some builds with very fast start of energy shield recharge. Moving forward, we have Eldritch Battery here. Converts all energy shield to mana. And I think it sounds very interesting, because that way we'll be able to combine it with Mind Over Matter when mana is protecting your life and stuff. And that way we'll be able to still use energy shield as a source for our skills and to cast with it, but we still be able to use it to protect us as well, so it will be used as defensive mechanism too. So Eldritch Battery will probably be a very interesting option, especially with Mind Over Matter. Moving forward, we have Self-Mortification here, gain 20% of maximum energy shield as additional stun threshold again, and increased stun threshold when full life. I think it's mostly here for builds that will take something similar to Chaos Inoculation. I think Chaos Inoculation is here, let me showcase that, and I'm almost sure that that passive here is Chaos Inoculation. So Self-Mortification will stack with Chaos Inoculation here very good, because you're always on full life, and if you're not on full life you like lost all your energy shield, you're already gone, so I think it will be nice. Moving forward, we have a Rapid Recharge that gives increased energy shield recharge rate and faster start again. So I think there are so many sources of faster start of energy shield recharge, as I already mentioned, and you will be able to take so many of them. Patient Barriers that we have next give us huge increase to maximum energy shield, like 60% is absolutely insanely big. I think 20% slower start of energy shield recharge is not big enough of a downside to pretty much ignore it, so I would take that passive in almost all cases for all energy shield based builds. Essence Infusion here give us increased energy shield recharge rate again and some intelligence. It's honestly not looking that good for big amount of points that it requires, however maybe there will be interesting combinations. Here we have a Heartstopper. Take 70% less damage over time if you started taking damage over time in the past second. Take 50% more damage over time if you haven't started taking it in the past second. I think right now it's a little more questionable compared to what we had in Path of Exile 1. Especially since it kinda increases the damage that you take if you started taking damage over time in more than past second. The biggest question for that will be how big default timer for like Ignite, like Poison and other types of damage over time. Because right now that passive seems questionable. Here we have Heavy Buffer. It increased our maximum energy shield significantly but reduced maximum life. I honestly think it's worth it for more cases, and I hope you will be able to take that with Chaos Inoculation. Going forward, we have Inner Faith that gives us evasion rating, 20% of maximum energy shield, and reduced effective curses on you. As far as I can see, it will require only like 3 or 2 passives, and it's definitely look worth it. Mostly because of reduced effective curses on you. Since we don't have flasks anymore and we will need to rely on charms, I think getting such bonuses will be very good. Here we have a Spectral Ward to give us +1 to maximum energy shield per evasion rating on equipped body armor. It's pretty much what Trickster had before, and that's very cool that it pretty much will be available to all classes. I'm looking forward to use that one on Monk, because it's looking good. Here we have Subterfuge Mask. It gives us evasion rating per 1 maximum energy shield on equipped helmet. That again looks like a Trickster passive, and I think it will work very good on Mercenary, and on Monk especially. And the last block that I want to talk about is utility. We're starting with Slippery Ice, 25% reduced effect of chill on you and unaffected by chill during dodge roll. It's honestly not sounds very good to me, because reduced effect of chill is nice, however I think we will be able to reduce it with other means too. And unaffected by chill during dodge roll is not sounds that good. Maybe it will be useful for some particular bosses, but right now spending at least 1, 2, 3, 4 points for that will not be a great idea. The only hope for that passive if that passive is going to be something very good. That way if you're still passing here you can spend 1 point and get nice small bonus. Otherwise I think it will be easier to ignore it. So next one is Siphon. Recover 2% of mana on kill and increase amount of mana leached. I think it will stack so good with Monk, because you will be able to get like instant mana leech and you will be able to get energy shield based on mana leech as well. I think it will combine very good with Monk Ascendant and Monk Ascendancies here, so it definitely looks promising, especially for just 2 points, which is definitely not a lot. Here we have a Resonance, gain power charge instead of Frenzy, Frenzy instead of Endurance, and Endurance instead of Power. That's interesting, but for now it's harder to guess how well that passive would work. So I would expect that it will be taken in some builds, and it will not be too popular, however there could be cool niche uses for it. We will see about it. Next one is One with the Storm and give us quarter-staff skill that consume power charges, count as consuming an additional power charge. I think that's absolutely amazing, because it's literally doubling your consuming here, without even consuming it, so it's count as consuming, not consuming double. And that way I think it will be able to improve your damage and quality of life significantly for not a lot of points. So I think One of the Storm looks absolutely good. Next one is Azis, cannot use charms, 30% more recovery life from flask. Not just life, just mana as well. Unfortunately, I don't think it's worth it, because charms provide a lot of different bonuses and just more recovery sounds like something very average, especially since it's just 30%. I think we still will be able to rely on leech or like regeneration or different types of recovering life. So if you're not relying just on flasks, Oasis is not really looking good. Next one is Manifold Method. That way you get like 50% increased amount of mana leech and 30% increased chance to inflict elements against rare unique enemies. I think it stacks with Monk Ascendancy again, because additional amount of mana leech will improve your energy shield leech as well if you're playing Monk, and it also will be instant, which is very nice. Is it good for like 3 points? It's questionable, but I think it's still a pretty promising passive, because you will be able to take so many of them for just mana leech. Next one is Ice Walls, 200% increased ice crystal life. It's very hard to predict that one. I'm not sure how important life of ice crystal would be, and I would just pass. Right now the next one is Hollowed, it gives 20% increased stun and block recovery, and gain 20% of maximum energy shield as additional stun threshold. I think we already seen a few similar passives that give us additional stun threshold. That one adds recovery instead. I'm not sure how big of an issue would be stuns, however I don't think it was at least 4 points, especially if you're not playing on hardcore and could afford to die. I think there have been better options in the energy shield part. The next one is Whisper of Doom. You pretty much already know it, I think, and you can apply an additional curse, which is very cool. And right now it's kinda easy to get to, so you just need to be in the upper part of the tree and you will need to spend only 1 point, which is pretty nice. Double activation delay of curses is just a little downside, and I don't think it will create too much of an issue, so somebody would not take like Whispers of Doom. I still think Whispers of Doom will be one of the most popular passives in the upper part of the tree. The next one is Woodland Aspect. Charms applied to you have 10% increased effect. It's pretty much the same like we had before with the Flask. I think we will be able to improve our charm effect in the same fashion as we improved effects of our flasks. It's mostly for charm based builds, and it will be interesting how well it's going to work. Will we have like mage blood for charms or something similar? Well, we'll see it on the release. Going forward, the next one is bringing Carapace. It gives 60% increased stun threshold for each time you've been stunned recently. Well, I think that one would be pretty useful if you're getting stunned often. Often, it will just save you from getting shotgunned by enemies with big amount of projectiles, for example, and it will cost 1, 2, 3, 4 points approximately. As you probably already noticed, there are so many stun related passives, so it's hard to say if that one in particular will be good or not. And the next one is Energized, 35% chance to trigger skills to refund half of energy spam. I think that one is very good. For trigger skills, it's going to help significantly with energy mitigation and energy generation, because that way you will refund half of energy spam, which is very good, and it's going to improve overall energy situation for such builds. Is it worth additional points, like 5 of them? It's questionable, but I still think the idea is pretty nice and it will boost trigger builds. So that's been my overview of all revealed passives, and I really hope that we will be able to see more of them pretty soon. Stay tuned and thank you very much for watching. ronarray out.